Anita Morgun, this is News Pulse at UA TV. Welcome to the daily segment. Today in the episode, drones attack Perm in Russia's Urals. Yes, once again, Ukrainian forces advance to the north of the Kharkiv region and successfully disrupt new Russian operation. Fuel inflation in Russia has begun to accelerate again. Both in Moscow and St. Petersburg, gasoline limits are being imposed. Drones attack Perm in Russia's Urals. President Zelensky has confirmed the hit. The city is home to the Lukoil oil refinery. Air defenders are responding in the city and sirens are sounding. It is located more than 1,600 kilometers from Ukraine. The facility is one of Russia's largest oil refineries, with a capacity of almost 13 million tons per year. It supplies fuel to both the civilian sector and the Russian military.
We continue through our long-range sanctions to bring the consequences of the war back to where it came from. We also have confirmed results from previous strikes. A Russian Su-34 aircraft was damaged at the Akhtubinsk air base, about 600 kilometers from the front line, and in Primorsko-Akhtarsk, nearly 180 kilometers away, a facility used for storing, preparing, and launching attack drones that the Russians used to strike our people was hit. Volodymyr Zelensky, president of Ukraine, on X.
Russian self-propelled artillery installation Hyacinth S was destroyed by the Ukrainian military in the Kursk region of the Russian Federation. According to the data of the Kursk troop group, the Russian self-propelled guns fired at Ukrainian positions. Aerial reconnaissance detected the enemy's firing point and transmitted the coordinates to the FPV strike drones. After several accurate hits, the self-propelled gun was completely destroyed. The approximate cost of such an artillery installation is about $4 million. The defense forces of Ukraine were able to advance to the north of the Kharkiv region and successfully disrupt the new operation of the Russian Federation in the region. This was reported by the American Institute for the Study of War. According to analysis, this is the settlement of Belye Kolodets. It was there that the Ukrainian military managed to successfully maneuver and push back the Russian invaders. The State Border Service of Ukraine confirmed this information. The defense forces attacked the Russian personnel who tried to carry out an operation to raise the flag in the Vovchansk direction. The Russian fuel crisis caused by the Ukrainian armed forces' attacks on oil refineries has already affected at least 30 regions, Reuters reports. Following Moscow, St. Petersburg has begun imposing restrictions on gasoline sales at gas stations. Specifically, Gazprom Neft has set a limit of 60 liters per ticket, while Tatneft has set a limit of 50 liters for AA22 and AA25. Meanwhile, some stations are already reporting shortages on certain fuels. Lukoil has also acknowledged isolated shortages and attributed them to the aftermath of Ukrainian strikes on Russian oil refineries. Thus, shortages will, until recently were perceived as a problem limited to isolated regions, are gradually spreading to Russia's largest metropolitan areas. Moscow has been forced to restrict gasoline sales for the second time this summer. In Moscow, limits are being imposed for the second time this summer, despite local authorities' attempts to supply the city by redistributing supplies from other regions. Specifically, Gazprom Neft representatives stated that their gas stations are temporarily limiting gasoline and diesel fuel sales to 40 liters per vehicle. Tatneft stated that the limit for gasoline sales at their station is 50 liters and for diesel fuel 60 liters. After 2 weeks of decline, fuel inflation in Russia has begun to accelerate again. Rosstat reported a new wave of rising gasoline prices. According to its data, on average, gas stations nationwide sell a liter of AA22 for 72 rubles 50 kopecks. From the beginning of the year to mid-August, gasoline prices have increased by 18.5%, and the annual increase in gas station prices, according to Raiffeisenbank estimates, has reached 24%, 4 times higher than overall official inflation. Gasoline is unavailable at 70% of gas stations in Russia. The United States are not able to ensure world order anymore, writes the Wall Street Journal. The Center for Strategic and International Studies estimates that the United States has used up half of its stockpile of anti-missile systems, such as Patriot and THAAD, and used up a third of its arsenal of long-range Tomahawk and JASSM missiles. Lockheed Martin reported deliveries of 620 PAC-3 interceptors last year, 20% more than the year before, but it is still not enough. Russian missile production, by contrast, has increased sharply since 2022. Despite Western sanctions, intelligence estimates suggest that Russia is now producing more than 100 ballistic missiles a month and about the same number of cruise missiles. While European officials have vocally expressed support for the NATO alliance, privately they're increasingly skeptical that Trump's America would come to their aid if Russia attacked.
The growing sense of American and Western vulnerability can tempt autocratic adversaries, particularly Russian leader Vladimir Putin. Iran is increasingly humiliating the United States in front of everybody, while the U.S. is creating uncertainty about their commitment to European security, and the Europeans aren't showing any will to deter Russia. All this creates an opportunity structure for Putin that is extremely dangerous. From the Wall Street Journal.
The case against Ukrainian cash collectors detained on suspicion of money laundering in Hungary has been closed due to a lack of evidence of a crime. According to the Oshad Bank collector's lawyer, Laurent Horvat, Kyiv is demanding that those responsible for the illegal detention of the Ukrainians be held accountable, stated Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha. Irina Yusupova provides more details.
After an investigation lasting just over 3 months, Hungarian law enforcement authorities concluded that the seized assets had no criminal origin. A thorough review confirmed that both the cash and the gold were part of a legitimate interbank transaction between Raiffeisen Bank and Oshad Bank. The legality of the transaction was also confirmed by financial institutions in Ukraine and Austria. Ukraine's foreign minister, Andriy Sybiha, called the decision a predictable outcome and said that everyone involved in the unlawful detention of Ukrainian citizens and seizure of state property must be held accountable.
The predictable end of Viktor Orban's lies, and a warning to everyone else. Exploiting anti-Ukrainian rhetoric for political gain will bring nothing but political defeat and disgrace. However, this story must continue even after this public disgrace. Everyone involved in fabricating this affair and illegally detaining our citizens and seizing state property must be held accountable. Andriy Sybiha, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, on X social media.
Recall that in March, Hungarian law enforcement officers detained 2 armored vehicles in the country on suspicion of money laundering. The vans were carrying $40 million, 35 million hryvnias, and 9 kilograms of gold. The cash-in-transit workers had all the necessary documents and shipping papers. Nevertheless, the Ukrainian nationals were publicly handcuffed and transported with their eyes blindfolded. According to Ukrainian officials, this violated 3 international conventions at once. At the same time, some officials from Orban's government even claimed that the money had allegedly been brought in to finance the election campaign of Peter Magyar's party.
The Prime Minister's office, which oversaw the work of the intelligence services, was behind the seizure of the 2 Ukrainian vans. Hungarian authorities are currently investigating the raid on the Ukrainian bank Oshad Bank's transit facility, including the unlawful detention of 7 Ukrainian citizens. The Hungarian side has promised to hold those responsible accountable and restore the rule of law, from a Bloomberg report.
After the change of government in Hungary, Ukraine was returned all the assets that had been illegally seized. Prime Minister Peter Magyar said the March raid on the Ukrainian cash-in-transit workers had been personally ordered by Viktor Orban and that law enforcement agencies had acted on direct instructions from his office. Summing up the new government's first 100 days in office, Magyar accused his predecessor of corruption, political maneuvering, and deliberately worsening relations with Kyiv. According to Magyar, while the previous government was busy looking for external enemies, serious economic and social problems were accumulating inside the country.
100 days is not enough to fix everything that was destroyed over a decade and a half, but 100 days were enough for Hungary to set a new course. After the change of government, we found ourselves facing a budget deficit that was significantly higher than the previous government had reported, as well as extremely limited room for maneuver in fiscal policy. Over the past 2 decades, enormous amounts of money have been taken out of the state's control. Today, that money is missing from hospitals, schools, and roads. It is missing from our everyday lives.
Key agreements with Russia approved under Orban's government are also likely to be reviewed. In particular, Hungarian authorities are reassessing the viability of the Paks nuclear power plant expansion project involving Russia's Rosatom. Under the original contract, the new units were supposed to become operational by 2024. Instead, Hungary has spent almost 3 billion euros on a project that is not even halfway complete. Technologically, nuclear power plants using closed-loop cooling systems are also increasingly considered outdated, and it appears Budapest has no intention of investing additional funds in the controversial project, reported by Irina Yusupova, UATV News.
That's it for today. I'm Anita Murgun. Thank you for watching the segment. We appreciate your time and effort a lot. Please also share, comment, subscribe to UA TV. We got you covered on whatever tomorrow holds. For all of us, always in Ukrainian perspective. Stay safe and see you soon.